Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Not Quite Cool. My name is Keith Brooks. Here with me, as always, is Mr. Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you doing today?
I'm glad you asked, Keith. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. You look wonderful. You look so tidy and kempt as opposed to some of our other hosts. It's fitting that we are here the night before Hanukkah, because this next person I'm going to introduce is a tribulation unto himself. Mr. Rob Prago, how are you doing today, you schmuck?
Hi, y'all. Hi.
Yep, good point.
Hi, I'm channeling Leslie Jordan. Hi. Hi for Hanukkah. Justice for Hanukkah. Get it? Justice for Hanukkah. Thank you. I'm ready to roll.
That was worse than typical, but let's go ahead. We don't have time for Rob's bullshit. We have so many things to get through. It's been a while since we've been on the podcast, so we got to catch up with some stuff that's came out since then. So tonight we're going to be talking about Rise of Skywalker. Just kidding, it hasn't been that long. But let's go ahead and kick off with the thing that brings us all together, like holding the timelines, Loki Season 2. So this show has come and gone. I've bought the season 1 Blu-ray of Loki now. Chad, what were your thoughts about Loki season 2?
Well, before you get into that, I do know that you bought the Loki season 1 Blu-ray because I was at Rob's house the other day and it was sitting on his shelf. So
yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, Keith must have bought the
Loki bought Blu-ray. It for me.
That's well.
The shelf had an empty space and it needed to be filled with one of Keith's Blu-rays. So I requested Loki season 1.
So Loki season 2, I like this series. I really loved the addition of Kiwi Kwan in this. I think he fit right in. Like he adds some of the humor to the MCU that I really like the MCU when it's funny, and he was very funny. So I definitely liked him in it. But Hiddleston's great. I just wonder if I'm kind of getting burnt out with the Disney Plus shows.
Ooh.
Because, well, I did enjoy this. I wasn't blown away by it. And I know it's about, the timelines and stuff like that, but I almost feel like that. First of all, I watch everything MCU cartoon, I watch it all, but I just feel like, if I miss this series, I don't know if I would miss anything in the bigger picture per se. That doesn't mean that Loki's not going to, appear later and it'll be important, but I just might be getting burnt out with the series just because, again, I liked it, but I wasn't blown away.
That's shocking, especially when it's being directed by two of our favorite directors, who did Resolution and all that stuff.
I did like a lot of the concepts. I like how they handled the time travel, and so yeah. I like that stuff a lot. But I don't know.
Okay, so Rob, Chad hated Loki season 2. What did you think about it?
I like how Chad took a shortcut on Kiwi Kwan's name and made him Australian. Kiwi Kwan, little Kiwi. I like that. He's Kiwi Kwan.
Wouldn't that be New Zealand?
New Zealand. I'm sorry. That's right. New Zealand sheep herder. That's right. Kiwi Kwan. I got you. It's down under somewhere. Down under. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Yes, I agree. They kind of insulated themselves from everybody else, and it was almost as if they were like, we don't want to be associated with any of the crap that's come out recently. Let's just put ourselves in a bubble, make something really, really good like we know how to, and it was nice. I really enjoyed it. Again, like anything, there's some episodes that resonate more than others, but on every one of them, to me, the production value is really high. It's well written, it's well directed. It just the shoot. I mean, it's amazing. That's the same company that put out Secret Invasion. It just blows the mind when you look at the two of them next to each other. Tom Hiddleston has a grip on that show, and he shepherds it, and I think he leads by example, and I think everybody follows suit. It's so much fun. the relationship between him and Mobius, not Morbius, as I said the other day, between him and Morbius and Keanu Reeves was lovely. I love the whole relationship.
That's Morpheus, but
Morpheus. Oh, a good point. All three of them: Mobius, Morbius, Morpheus. I can find. I can watch Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson just play Monopoly, just talk to each other. It's just they're so good in the moment. Yeah. The bouncing off of each other is fantastic. I enjoyed the shit out of it. It was, again, sometimes I think it stands on its own, is very good. I also think juxtaposed against the past 2 years, other than a couple of things, it really is a beacon of that. And Guardians 3, it's a couple of things, obviously, but it's pretty damn good. Interesting. Boy, the way it wrapped up. I mean, it felt like they wrapped up the multiverse. It was weird. They could literally go, multiverse is over based on how that ended. And Kang is dead because he sat there as, God of stories, basically controlling all the timelines. Maybe we'll get into that a little more, I'm assuming, but that's what it seemed like to me. We really haven't discussed this in depth. I enjoyed the shit out of it, if that wasn't clear. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to see Owen Wilson just playing Monopoly now. Like, I would watch the fuck out of that. Like, wow, it's a Avenue. Wow, that's a good one.
Wow,
you don't want to put too many trains on that or anything. Wow. Like, that'd be great. I really dug the show. I think it takes. It still has those Doctor Who aspects to it that I enjoy, that make it sort of quirky and fun. Apparently, the penultimate episode was completely redone, and there was something else that was a big swing that they were going to do that Kevin Feige said no to. And so I'm very interested to know what that would have been. But I think the ending of this episode, to me, felt like such a culmination for Tom Hiddleston's character. Felt so poetic. The imagery was beautiful. I couldn't get over it for like a week and a half, just replaying that scene over and over again and watching it. I hope we never see Loki again, because that was so rewarding for me. I know they'll bring it back in a couple of years, whatever, but he's too over. He's too over to not bring back. He's too popular. It'd be like The Rock going, "I'm so over now, I'm not coming back." It's just too. He's too popular. I hope it's a different Loki, different variation or something like that, because I think that's Hiddle'll still be back. Hiddle'll still be back. That's such a great place to leave that character, and it feels really like, talk about a change of the status quo. And that's what we want. We want these shows to feel like they've taken us somewhere, and this one, more than any other I can think of, really does that. So I loved it. I thought Kiwi Kwan was an absolutely great addition, or if we want to make him Australia, Kangawi Kwan or something. Kiwi Kwan, or New Zealand Kiwi Kwan. Yeah. And I love the entire cast. I thought everybody was absolutely fantastic. Even the guy that I hated initially that plays the he was horrible in the first episode. Loved him. The ref, Brad. Yeah, Brad or something like that. Whatever. I think he was great. After the first, he was great. Episode was terrible. Absolutely. I don't know necessarily what it means for the MCU. To me, it just means that more timelines can now occur, that there can be a multiverse because they're not being pruned. Loki is in charge of that, to allow stories to be produced, Right. It's a good point. So it does open it up for nothing's being cut away, so anybody can come from anywhere. So so possibly more incursions with those timelines bouncing off each other and things like that. So it's interesting. Yeah, but still, I don't think the MCU's done necessarily that great of a job of sort of explaining timelines versus dimensions versus universes, all that sort of stuff. And how time travel works or doesn't work. It's all over. Yeah. And I think they haven't explained that because they don't fucking know, because it's all makeup, right?
Plus, it's also they're going to use the tools that they want for that particular movie or that show. So it doesn't necessarily is not always going to match how time travel works in Endgame versus how it works in this. Well, and Deadpool coming up with what Cable had, so it's all going to be a little different. So yeah. 100%. I completely agree. They change their storytelling devices always in order to tell us the best story possible, and that's fun to consume. But speaking of consuming, this next film Chad watched, and you might think it's a documentary about what happens when Rob goes into my kitchen, but it's not. It's the prequel to the Hunger Games,
and I didn't care enough to look it up. Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds, is that what it's called?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you don't know and you watched it. So
That's because it's Hunger Games. When I went to the movies, I said, I'll take one for Hunger Games. I didn't say all that other stuff. And the guy knew exactly what I was talking about.
Spoken code, man. It was code.
Just like the people listening to this. If you're listening to this, you know exactly what we're talking about.
I don't know. This might be 10 years later, and they're like, oh, which one was it? Was it Mockingbird 97? Or anyway, but go ahead.
Right.
So tell me about this random Hunger Games movie you saw.
So, this is a prequel to the Mockingjay, all those Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence. And this is basically like Donald Sutherland when he's much younger, like his character. And we're right back in that world. They do a real good job of just being right back in the dystopian world. And it's not necessarily the origins of the Hunger Games because they've been going on for about 10 years. I think it might be the 11th annual Hunger Games, but it's definitely compared to the other movies. And I don't mean this like budget wise. I mean, Hunger Games wise, it's a low tech Hunger Games. It's in a much smaller arena. They don't have like weather and animals and all this crazy stuff happening that they have, built up with technology. So it's a lot more intimate. But what it does, and I don't like it, but it does a good job of it, is I don't like the fact that they make me root for Snow.
Yeah.
I know what he turns into. I know he's an asshole and I'm not a fan of him. And I love Jennifer Lawrence's character Katniss and I know what he tries to do to her, but they do a good job of really making you root for him, knowing the fact that if he wins everything, he's going to be the evil president at some point, So
it's the Saw X of the Hunger Games series, basically.
Yeah, except for, spoilers, like he becomes a little bit snowish at the end. Do you know what I mean? Where Saw X, he's kind of the good guy the whole time. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like though that always in these Hunger Games movies, my favorite part is the Hunger Games, the actual game, the arena. And in this movie, they finish the games and it's over and there's like an hour left in the movie. And because again, they're building Snow's, rise and all fall and rise and all that stuff. I felt like it could have been maybe better suited as two movies because it was just like after we finished the Hunger Games, like what's next? I don't really care about this part as near as much. So, I would ding it for a couple of points for that as far as after, but all the way leading up to the Hunger Games, I mean, it's just as good as the other ones to me. And then, after, but so I'd recommend it if you're a Hunger Games fan. I mean, yeah, it's the Hunger Games. You can't go wrong with it.
That's awesome. So was this like a one and done, or are they going to continue? Are they going to prequel Anakin us for Snow, or do you feel this is where it leaves off? Because there's only one. This is the only book.
I was going to say there's only one book, and it's not like they leave it on a cliffhanger where you don't know what's going to happen. But this is kind of like The Purge. You could do the 11th. I mean, you could do the 12th annual Hunger Games next year. You could do, the 30th and skip ahead, 15 years or whatever the case may be. Or you could do the first Hunger Games. So I haven't heard anything about a planned sequel to this directly, but, I'm not sure how well it was doing, but I think it did it did decent numbers. So I would expect another Hunger Games. And they probably should continue on with young Snow in the next year or 5 years later or whatever the case may be. That's probably what they should do, I think.
I kind of want to see that crossover with the Purge Hunger Games. What if the Purge leads into the Hunger Games and that's the more civilized version of it? That's the prequel I want to watch. But I did watch a couple of other prequels. Let's talk about one for an indie horror franchise. I watched Hell House LLC Origins, available on Shudder. Now, if you're not familiar with the Hell House LLC franchise, I think there's like 5 of them now. They're an indie horror franchise. Almost all of them are on Shudder, I think. But they're all helmed by the same writer-director. And this one, it says Origins, but it's not. There's partially a prequel aspect to it, but it also takes place after some of the others. The timeline's a little, timey-wimey. But if you're a fan of that franchise, this is a great one. It's another found footage film. They do found footage really well. It's all about the lore. They sort of the original Hell House LLC has a couple like evil clowns in it. You kind of get more of an idea where they come from. It doesn't give you everything, but it gives you enough. The acting's well done. It looks like it was shot for $20, but they used that $20 really well. So yeah, check it out on Shudder if you like indie horror. It's a really fun one. But another prequel that I watched was a prequel series. I think we're 4 episodes in. Rob and I watched this, and that is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Taking place in the Monsterverse, brought to us by Legendary. This isn't the only time that Godzilla is going to come up tonight. Tonight's going to be sort of a Gojira dominated night. But Rob, what are you thinking about Monarch: Legacy of Monsters?
I grew up a big Godzilla monster movie fan. Every couple of weeks on ABC 7 in New York, 4:30 to 6 o'clock after school. Monster Week. It's Godzilla, Godzilla Kong, King of all monsters, Rodan, Ghidorah, all of them. Love them. I like all of them, even the shitty ones. I like them. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. I love the backstory, and I'll tell you this: the more recent ones from Legendary, they haven't thrilled me to say the least. But the first 2 episodes of this, to me, together, were a better movie than any of those individual movies over the past 8 or 9 years. I love the backstory, the way it was done so well produced, the production value, the character development. I loved it. I think there's been a tail off a little bit on episodes 3 and 4, where it's become sort of monster of the week a little bit, but still enjoyable, high production value, anchored by Kurt Russell. I mean, who's great, so I'm enjoying it. I'm just glad there's a fucking Godzilla series on.
The thing that upsets me about what you said was that you were upset that a show called Legacy of Monsters has a monster of the week structure. Like, what the fuck were you expecting? The West Wing? Like,
it became sort of a procedural again. It was the next thing, and it was and the special effects in the episode 1 and 2, though there were less of them, were so good. There's a shot of Godzilla basically going face to face with a nuclear bomb, blowing up at it, and the way it was shot, it's spectacular.
Yeah,
and it's they kind of, like anything else, sometimes like Marvel, you kind of go, it kind of looks a little cheap, a little cheesy. No, Apple Plus, generally the production value,
absolutely,
is to me is above most of the other streaming services. I dare say all of the other ones. But again, this is good. I mean, if this is what we're getting, this is up there in the quality. Monsterverse, good stuff, decent cast. Not everybody's great in this cast. There's a couple of, but
who do you not like in the cast?
It's a monster movie. It's all right. They're fine. Kurt Russell. Focus on Kurt Russell and Kiersey Clemens. She's awesome.
She's phenomenal. She's great.
Awesome. Holy shit. She's off the screen. She's so much. I hate the word better. It's weird. Just so much more grounded and real and spontaneous than everybody else, including Russell. I think she's stealing the show to me.
I think it's an interesting. First of all, I don't think you know what a procedural is. I think you just said that word because you heard it somewhere. Because
I like the word. I like the word.
It's definitely not Godzilla in Order.
I was just going to say Godzilla in Order. NYPD Godzilla, NCIS Godzilla.
Yeah, because the show is not fucking procedural. I don't even know how you would make a procedural out of going to fight a snow monster, but whatever.
Well, I just feel like, you go to the crime scene, you're like, I don't know what did this. And the first guy goes, well, this huge footprint, it's clearly Godzilla. Case closed.
Bong bong.
You would have to I guess you would have to investigate, but none of that happens in this show ever. Whatever.
Non-stop procedural. I mean, all these cops keep coming through.
A lot of will they, won't they? Is that going on too?
A lot of interrogations with these monsters. Yeah. Did you stop Japan? Want my lawyer?
It is. Yeah, I enjoy the cast a lot. Like there's not a single person that I don't. I love the mom of the guy in Japan. The mom.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
She stole the entire fucking show. She was
amazing. I'm not even joking. She literally just, that's
the best acting I've seen on a television show in a long fucking time.
It was spectacular. I totally agree. Yeah.
And then I like the guy. So we get a younger version of Kurt Russell, played by his son, Wyatt Russell. We also get a younger version of John Goodman. I don't know the guy who's playing him, but he's hanging out with Wyatt Russell.
Interesting casting. Interesting.
Not a very John Goodman-esque actor, but I guess Goodman doesn't have a son that's acting or something. And in addition to that, you do get a glimpse at Godzilla, but we're seeing all these other titans and kaiju monsters. None of them have been from the source material yet. None of them have been Godzilla canon, but I don't care because one of them's like a tardigrade mole thing in Antarctica, and that's fucking dope as shit. That was super cool. You got killer bats. It's a lot of fun. Like, I'm having a blast watching the show. So if you're a monster fan, I highly recommend this one. Or if you just like seeing things get eaten, chewed up, and killed. Speaking of that, I could do so many different ones. Let's go ahead and do this one. Eli Roth just released a horror movie, something he promised us like 20 fucking years ago. He finally delivered on, and that is Thanksgiving. You'll come home in a body bag. Thanksgiving. Chad and I saw this movie, starring Dr. McDreamy, and Gina Gershon is in it. For a couple seconds. Chad, what did you think about Thanksgiving?
Well, it's the perfect tagline for Rob, because the tagline I saw was Thanksgiving, there will be no leftovers.
Absolutely. And that line plays in the movie a lot too.
I shit you not. So how long has it been since Thanksgiving? Today's what, December 8th?
Yeah.
7th.
For dinner tonight, I dug deep in the fridge and I found 3 plastic containers of honey baked ham from Thanksgiving, turkey from Thanksgiving, some stuffing from Thanksgiving, and some other things. And I threw them in a
Easter.
It's kind of making me sick to my stomach.
I threw them in a wok
too, man,
with some oil, and I burnt the bad off those things.
That's not possible.
And I ate the good, and it was
that's not the adjective.
Throw a little barbecue sauce on it. And some mild pepperoncinis.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
And they invent barbecue sauce because they were eating tainted meat.
Yeah,
and it tasted so bad they had to put barbecue sauce on it.
That's
my favorite songs from the '80s. Tainted meat.
Or gross. That's the origin of barbecue jerk and all that stuff. And tainted meat is a description of Rob's pornographic pseudonym. I think like Rob's Appetite is a slasher film unto itself. Like, I feel gutted having listened to that shit. Yeah. Chad, let's talk about something less frightening. What did you think about Thanksgiving?
It was a standard slasher.
Yeah.
There wasn't really nothing special to it. There were some cool gory kills.
Yeah.
Especially the beginning, like you said, with Gina Gershon. Like that was pretty cool the way it looked. But I mean, to be honest, is predictable as far as the killer and all that. Get nothing wrong with it. It's fine, but it's just standard slasher. That being said, I'd watch 10 of these.
Me too.
Keep them coming.
I had a blast. Like, I felt like, look, I like Eli Roth. I understand that at times he has a very heavy hand. This felt like he was very reserved. He was like, I'm just going to make a standard slasher flick. I'm going to hit all the beats I'm supposed to. And he did. And I think he did it better than most slasher flicks do it. I think he pushed it a little bit with the gore, but I also recognize he didn't go as far as he used to go with the gore.
Definitely.
Even some of the kills that he had telegraphed in that first trailer for the original Thanksgiving when it came out with Grindhouse, he changed them here to be less, I guess, offensive. I think about the cheerleader on the trampoline one, right? So if you're familiar with this, when Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez made Grindhouse, they got a bunch of film directors to do trailers for movies that were never intended to come out. Some of those have since come out: Hobo with a Shotgun, Machete, and then this now, Thanksgiving. There was also Wolfman of the SS or something like that that Rob Zombie did with Nicolas Cage. But this one, in the original trailer, there's a cheerleader bouncing on a trampoline, and she does a split, and that's when a knife pierces through, and then very unfortunate. They still do that same kill, but they do it in a much more non-sexual assault way.
Right.
and it's still very impactful. Like, and the moments that he decides to kill somebody, they're very intense ass kills at times, you know. I thought Dr. McDreamy was great in this movie. I loved how Massachusetts it felt. Like everybody saying fucking and frickin' all the time, and they're like yelling about Hanover sucking and shit like that. Like that was awesome. That was a cool feeling. And I feel he hit all the beats of what a slasher franchise needs. I would totally watch, like you said, 19 more of these. I love the kills being Thanksgiving oriented. Yeah, I dug the fuck out of it.
I also like the fact that, you know, the killer in this movie looks like the town hero in the sense that there's a bunch of people walking around with this mask on. So I always like that aspect too.
Yeah.
It's almost like, who can you trust or whatever. And it's like just 3 people walking down the street with a mask on. And it's just because that's what you do for Thanksgiving. It's not because they're killers. So I like that too. It adds, you know, an extra layer of suspense.
Absolutely. And I also like the fact that the killer, there's that parade scene where he switches up the mask. Wasn't expecting that. That was the big surprise.
You know, what was so funny is, I'm not bragging at all, but I was, because I saw I'm going to spoil. I saw the clown in the background and I was like, that clown looks so creepy and mean. I bet that's the killer.
Well, I did too. I saw that clown in the background, and then there's one shot where the clown just walks across the street. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that was just like a jump scare. All right, that's fine. It's not the best executed jump scare. But then when he fucking takes that turkey's head off, again, spoiler, like that was amazing. That was an amazing sequence. I loved it. Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It's a fucked up little horror movie, but that's not the only killer that we're going to talk about tonight. Rob and I watched a Netflix film directed by David Fincher, starring Michael Fassbender and Tilda Swinton, kind of. This movie is called The Killer. Rob, what did you think about The Killer?
Chad, have you not seen this?
I have not yet.
But
Phil, you can spoil it. It's fine.
He kills people.
He's it was Fincher. I mean, give me more Fincher. More Fincher. I like seeing him take on just different stories and tweaking it a little bit, but it's unmistakably his palette and his sensibilities. I got to tell you, I'm thrilled to see Michael Fassbender do something good. I think he's been choosing some. I don't know who's been picking his projects, but he's been off a little bit. He's always good. He's always great, and it's I enjoyed the shit out of it. Very methodical. Don't say The Snowman.
Oh, The Snowman's bad. What else did you see that he was not good in?
Deadpool 2, A Typical Tuesday.
First of all, we just did one.
He was
wish
horrible.
Fassbender would have been in it. That
He was horrible in Zombie Invasion. He was terrible in those things. I've seen him in a couple things, and I turned both of them off, or 3 of them off.
I can think Assassin's Creed is the only one I could think of.
Yes, awful.
Bad choice.
Rob never saw it. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. The one you said. And everything else on IMDb.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Assassination Creed. That's where they try to kill.
They kill
Apollo.
What happened?
Yeah, he's terrible in that.
What a fucking great thing that would be. If like Apollo Creed had a bunch of kids, he had a bunch of Adonis Creeds all over the country. They get together to form an assassination group. Oh, that'd be dope as shit. I'm pitching that to you, a person that I'm going to introduce in a second. As a segue, I'll bring that up again. But Rob, so you think it's very methodical.
I enjoyed it. Great use of, sometimes voiceover and narration can be fucked up. Great use of voiceover and narration in this movie, in his thoughts. Almost akin to, I was talking to somebody, I think you were around the other day, we were talking about Stephen King movies and books, and how I hated the movie Cujo because the book was so phenomenal because you were in the dog's head with VO.
Yeah.
When I was watching The Killer, I was like, they should have done this with the fucking dog in Cujo. They should have just what he was thinking and methodical. I was like, this is great. Well shot, well paced.
Yeah.
Didn't force anything. I like how his character followed a code almost to a fault. And I think following that code to a fault, the ending is not going to be for everybody. I'm not going to give the ending away because he just followed the code and the code said to do or not do something. Also, one of the most brutal fight scenes I've seen in a long time. Not a whole lot of action violence in this, but
when there is,
that scene made up for it. Great just cameos by good actors, moment to moment. Again, give me more Fincher. More Fincher.
Yeah,
it's good shit. I liked it.
It feels classic in every way. Like, I think the thing that makes voiceover work is when it's very intentional, and it's very intentional here. I don't think there was ever a point where
how would you not do it without it? Really?
Yeah.
It was built into the fabric. It was great. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it is. I mean, like you said, methodical, and I think that is a perfect. I think Fincher probably sees a lot of parallels in this character for how he operates on set. There's always the stories about him taking 80 takes of one scene just to get everything perfect. And I think that same component of his perfectionism can be seen throughout this film. And I think he's really exercising that. And I think Fassbender is amazing in it.
Almost Terminator-esque in his just pursuit, his focus. It's just not, it just doesn't skip a beat.
Yeah, there's a culmination scene where he's having a conversation with somebody that it would have been easy to give in to this larger than life performance, and he doesn't. And part of that's the script where he just doesn't say anything, and part of that's Fassbender's choice to just do the job, and that's what it's about. It's about a person that just does the job. They're just a killer, right? And I loved it. I think Fincher is such an evolving director constantly. Mank feels so different than this, feels so different than Alien 3, or what I mean. And I think this was a really good stride and a good place for him to create something that feels really classic.
Those are the two that you chose, Alien 3 and Mank.
Yeah, well, I mean,
from his whole filmography,
they're drastically different, are they not?
Yeah, but
Fassbender was terrible in both of them.
Absolutely,
it's terrible.
But that new movie that I pitched about the children of Apollo Creed killing people is going to be great. But speaking of Apollo Creed, that takes us to something on Netflix as well that Chad watched, and we're going to talk about this champion now of Sly. Chad, tell me what you thought about. Is it a movie or a show?
It's a documentary.
It's a documentary?
And it's very similar to the Arnold documentary that Netflix did, without the bodybuilding segment and the politics segment. Really, it's really Sly talking about his life a little bit, and then it just goes into Rocky. And everybody knows the story. How I say everybody like us knows the story. Now he wrote the script, and they didn't want him as the lead, and he's like, I'm Rocky, take it or leave it, and he took a chance. And, it turned out to be, a great move. And then it rolled into Rambo. Then it rolled into, some of the sequels. It rolled into his back and forth with Arnold, back in the day. And some of his clunkers, they talk about Oscar and Stop 'Em or Mom Will Shoot. I love Oscar as well, frankly. I really do like Oscar.
Me too.
No joke. I like Oscar. He does have some crappy movies.
What was the one with Dolly Parton? What was the one?
Rhinestone Cowboy.
Rhinestone.
Yep. So, there's other, he goes into that, and then it ends up with him talking about the Expendables, because that's, of course, but the fact of the matter is I could just listen to Sylvester Stallone talk about his movies for hours, because it's like my childhood, and he's,
Absolutely.
He's a childhood hero. And he's talking about these movies and kind of some of the stuff that went into them getting made, and why he made some of the decisions he made to be in this movie and do this. But it was heavy on, as you would expect, Rocky and Rambo, because
those are the two big ones, right?
It was heavy on that, heavy on the sequels to that and all that. But it was cool. I don't know if I knew this, but they said that in the original First Blood, originally, he was supposed to die at the end. Mm-hmm. And Stallone was like, no, he can't die. This is about, PTSD. I don't know if they even called it that back then, but he was like, we can't let this end. This is real people are going through this. We have to give them hope at the end of the movie, not my death. We're not doing it. So I thought that was cool. But again, there's little things like that. So yeah, it was a cool documentary. I dug it.
Yeah, he's such an interesting person. I do on the Beaned It Productions channel, I do this series called A New Series, where I take a look at franchises, and I'm doing a Rocky one right now. And just diving into his life for that, like him and his, I think, first wife founded an autism fund that's still active today, ever since 1984 or whatever. But his son Sergio is autistic. His son Sage unfortunately passed away very young.
They talk about that, of course,
Yeah.
in the documentary. It's like hard not to, of course.
Yeah. And so, and it's, I don't know, he just has such a compelling story, and it's such a very, like, I think a lot of people diminish Sly because they think of him as not intelligent because he plays unintelligent characters at times. But he's a brilliant writer and a brilliant person just across the board. Like, to manufacture his career the way he did, Rocky by itself as a franchise is a brilliant piece of cinema and storytelling. Right? It's defined the underdog story for the past century. Like, and that's kind of incredible. Like, I'm a big fan. So I can't wait to check that out. So that's a legend. That's a legend of the film world. And the next thing I watched also represents a legend of the film world, and that is the Paramount Plus South Park Into the Panderverse. So Trey Parker and Matt Stone got like billions of dollars to make a shit ton of South Park movies, and this is one of the new ones. And like, I'll be honest, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I kind of hate this. This is going to be, because I'm 38 years old. I look like I'm 65 unless I'm hanging out with Rob, and then I look great for my age.
I make everybody look good.
But this was very, like, it felt like Matt Rife just making jokes that was like, oh man, you're that person? Fuck. Like that sort of thing. And then I watched it, and it's not that at all. Like, it's about a multiverse story where there are different variations of the South Park world everywhere. In one South Park world, it's all inclusivity. So Cartman is an African-American woman, Kyle is a Korean woman, Kenny is a Hispanic woman, all that sort of stuff. And then something happens where the universe bleeds through, and Cartman goes into the woke-verse, and the Kathleen Kennedy from an evil world comes into ours, and our Kathleen Kennedy gets lost in this woke-verse, right? And so it's explaining why Star Wars and stuff has gone wonky. And it's not because of inclusivity, but it's just because there's an evil Kathleen Kennedy that is actually Cartman from a different world. It's fucking crazy, but it's kind of brilliant. But I also can see how it could be easily misconstrued. I was scrolling through Facebook, and someone had made like a remark about how this had been released and they just shit on Kathleen Kennedy. I'm like, no, they do the exact opposite. They're praising Kathleen Kennedy in this movie, but I could see how you would misread it if you're not really paying attention to what's happening. And I think South Park does a really great job of walking that line of being offensive without, but still saying something that's very deep and very life affirming. You know what I mean? So it's great to me that they haven't lost the touch of that. So I really enjoyed it. If you get a chance, watch it on Paramount Plus.
Cool.
It's a great way to celebrate the holiday season. But speaking of a way to celebrate and take a stab at the holiday season, Chad's getting in the Christmas mood early. He's already watching some holiday classics, such as It's a Wonderful Knife, which I think stars Justin Long. Is that right?
That's correct. One of his mini horror movie roles.
Yeah,
he wears fake teeth in this one. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So first of all, where can people see this and tell me about it?
This is Shudder exclusive.
Awesome.
Wonderful Knife. And it's what you think it is. It
Great.
is like A Wonderful Life. And the girl, basically the final girl, if you will, at some point, she, comes to the realization or says, the world would be better off. My family, my friends would be better off if I was never born.
Oof.
And then cut to, she was never born, and the town is in disarray. There's been a serial killer that's been killing people for over a year that they can't catch, a slasher. And so this is the deal though. So I really like this premise. It's along the lines of some of these other movies that we've talked about, Freaky, Totally Killer, things like that are fun. They twist other movies and things like that. So I really like it. The issue that I had is it takes about 30 minutes before she kind of makes that wish or whatever, that I wish I was never born. And there's killing beforehand because there's a slasher, and she actually kills the slasher. That's part of the thing, is she kills the slasher, then later wishes that, she was never born, because like her best friends get killed by the slasher and all that. And maybe some family members, I can't remember. But So, but when after that happens, and now she's a fish out of water in the sense that she doesn't know the world she's living in. People don't know her. She knows who the killer is because she's already killed the killer in her, previous life, and trying to get people to, convince people, what's going on. That's when it really takes off, and it's a lot of fun after that.
That's awesome.
Like, I really dig it. After that, I really feel like they could have been more economical at the beginning to get to the point than the first 30, because it's like 87 minutes long.
Oh, so super short.
So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, so we got 30 minutes in. Now we're getting to the good stuff, and it's less than an hour.
Yeah.
Is left in the movie. But yeah, it's fun.
I like a lot of those alternate takes on things, types of stories. And I like Justin Long in horror films, so I'm definitely gonna take that out. But speaking of alternate takes and things taking off, Chad and I both watched a television series on Netflix. I've only seen the first 5 episodes, but there's a lot to talk about here. That is the new animated show Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Now, this is kind of based on the Scott Pilgrim versus the World comics, featuring the same cast from the films, but it does something completely different than what the films does, and even references the film within the series. Chad, what did you think? I know initially you didn't care for it. Did you come around to it, or where are you at?
No, I did not come around. I did not enjoy this series even a little bit.
Damn.
I was excited for it because I really enjoyed the comic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie a lot.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the people in the movie. And like you said, they're all back. All the voice actors are back. So I like that aspect. It's really cool that everybody's back. And, it's like a reimagining, and I was not digging it at all. Like, Scott Pilgrim is barely in the series. It's called Scott. He's barely in it.
Well, because he takes off.
Yeah, exactly. Not a fan at all. And he doesn't even fight the X's. Like, I can't stress how much I did not like this series. Again, I like the voice acting. I liked all the actors in it. There were some, decent moments, but I was just like, where are we going with this? No.
Yeah. I think, like, for me, I wish I would have known it was a reimagining, because going into it, I didn't.
I didn't either.
Going into it, I just thought the title was weird. Like, that's, and I thought it was just going to be Scott Pilgrim versus the World, so we would have a more accurate representation of the comic in an animated form where you could do everything. And at the end of the first episode, I was like, wait, what? Like, that's not what happens. And it's been so long since I've seen the movie or read the book that I was like, am I misremembering something? Same. So, and as it progresses, you realize, oh, they're making this about Ramona instead. And I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead, so that's cool.
And I love Ramona.
Yeah, me too. Ramona is the pinnacle manic pixie girl. Like, she's perfect in every way. And I think she continues that. And I think Brie Larson is fucking phenomenal in this show. I think Chris Evans is great in it. And Mae Whitman is phenomenal. I think everybody's phenomenal. But I just wish in the advertisement they would have said a reimagining. Like, and so that way I would have been in a different mindset going into it. You know what I mean? Than I was. I'm enjoying it. I still prefer the movie over this a million times. I think this is less problematic than the movie is in some ways. You're giving Ramona a little bit more action, a little bit more agency for herself. I do like the fact they bring up, wait, he was dating a high school kid, like, over and over again. That's solid. I was really confused about the relationship between Thomas Jane and Kieran McCulkin, but that's fine. That was an intense relationship. We're gonna go read lines in my trailer. And so fun thing. I love them sending up Edgar Wright with Edgar Wrong. I think Simon Pegg showing up is great. I had fun. I still prefer the movie. I'm gonna finish it and see where it goes. But I kind of wish
it doesn't go anywhere good, Keith. I'm just gonna tell you.
Damn. I kind of wish they would have done just an adaptation of the original comic book. But speaking of wishes, speaking of no, it's fine. Don't ruin my fucking beautiful segue.
Right? That's what Rob does. I don't do that. Yeah. I'm just fired up about Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. I saw Disney's newest animated feature to celebrate 100 years of animated films. Wish, starring Ariana DeBose and Chris Pine. Man, I love her and I love him. Look, this movie also has Alan Tudyk in it, and he's sort of become the Bruce Campbell of Disney. Talk about like an Easter egg fest. They take so much of the Disney lore and kind of pay homage to it, like in all of these things. Like there's a series of characters that are not the Snow White characters, but they have the same color palettes as the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And so throughout it, they'll refer to each, oh man, you're so dopey. Why don't you pay attention? Stuff like that, right? So you get those cool little references. There's a deer named Bambi. There's a bear named John, who's little. So it's Little John, you know, stuff like that. Hold on one second. I heard a noise. Sorry. So the first half of the film I thought was fine, but it's in the second half and especially the third act that things really kick in and it really gets great. Pine is a lot of fun. Alan Tudyk's a lot of fun. If you're a Disney fan or just an animated fan, go check it out because it is absolutely beautiful. Not my favorite Disney film I've ever seen, but I did enjoy it. But speaking of enjoyable animation, Chad and I, did you not watch Invincible?
I did. At least the first episode, maybe the first couple. I can't remember where I am, but I did start it for sure.
Okay, good. Because we're gonna talk about Invincible now.
But okay, real fast, Rob, I want to ask you, when Keith said, wait, hold on just a minute, did you think he shit his pants? Because that's the look on his face. Like he was like, wait a second, did I just shit my pants? That's what it looked like to me.
I think I've been to that place a lot, and he's got some crazy dogs, and his house is in a weird ass place. I'm always expecting a bunch of like weird drug addicts to go crashing into it. So I was waiting to see literally like a horror movie beginning, like someone behind him with a knife coming at him, and I've been like, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
I thought my dog was whining, like I heard a noise and I didn't know what it was, so that's what I was.
Great. I thought I heard something. I did. I farted. I didn't realize it.
I just shit my pants.
I shit my pants.
Hold on just a minute, guys.
I'm gonna leave all of this in the podcast just so people know that Chad thinks I regularly shit my pants. So
I don't regularly think that, but that was the look on your face, 1,000%.
He doesn't regularly think it. He thinks you regularly shit your pants.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that would be irregular, ironically. And that brings us to Invincible. What the fuck? So they've released 4 episodes of the second season. The other episodes will come out as the new year starts. I've seen all 4. Chad doesn't know how many he's seen. Rob has never seen a cartoon. So Chad, what are you thinking about Invincible so far?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's the Invincible, cartoon. It's just more of timing. The fact that I haven't watched them, I'm enjoying the series. It's getting close though to be, I know it's different from the comic to a degree, but it's getting close to be about where I had stopped anyway.
Okay.
I'd read, I don't know, maybe the first 25 issues, something like that. So I knew there wasn't really any surprises in the first season.
Yeah.
But now we're definitely getting to unknown territory for me. So I'm excited about it for sure.
I'm loving it. Look, I think J.K. Simmons is phenomenal in everything he does, but perhaps one of his most defining roles for me is Omni-Man, because he's so fucking good as this character. Steven Yeun has a hell of a future ahead of him, but I think he's perfect as this character. What is his name? The Greek actor that plays the fire guy in the little Teen Titans squad they have.
Jason
Mantzoukas. Oh, love him. God, he's so good. I don't know if you've made it to what happens to Seth Rogen's character in season 2, but that caught me off guard. I've read a couple of the comics way back when. I'm a huge fan of Kirkman. I've been privileged enough to work for him twice. I like the guy a lot. Nice guy. Fucking he has some issues. You need to stop killing all of your characters in the most fucked up ways. So great series. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's definitely leaving an impact on me. But speaking of impacts, I watched a short film that I want to talk about that's going to lead into a film that Chad watched. So the great Toho has made some amazing monsters and creatures that have defined cinema. Every year they have a Godzilla festival. And for that Godzilla festival, they often commission short films. And so one of the short films they commissioned this year was Godzilla versus Megalon. It's a 10-minute short film to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Megalon. If you're a Godzilla fan at all, go check it out because it's just a blast. It's just a lot of fun. It's just monsters beating the shit out of each other. And it looks phenomenal. It's absolutely great.
Is it like on YouTube or?
Yeah. So they released it on YouTube. They have all of the ones they've ever done. It's all on the Toho YouTube page. But that takes us into the movie that right now, I think today, crossed Oppenheimer's income for global box office, which is kind of fucking insane. That's Godzilla.
Explain what you're saying. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think I had a stroke midway through. So it just topped Oppenheimer in global box office.
What?
Godzilla Minus One in global box office just topped.
That cannot be true.
I think that's what they said.
Did Oppenheimer not make like $700 million, $800 million?
Something like that. It
Minus One's already there?
But it's been out internationally for a while.
Okay.
But let me see.
I got you. You mean movies just don't come out here and it's just here? We're the only place that it matters?
It did that where it broke some other record. Hold on. You talk about the movie and I will find out what it did.
I love this movie. This movie was awesome. You have not seen it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I would say, it's funny that you mentioned Oppenheimer because I was going to say, forget Barbenheimer. This is the double feature right here. Godzilla is what you watch. You watch Oppenheimer and then you roll right into Godzilla. And it's perfect. It's a perfect twofer. There's an amazing shot of Godzilla with like a mushroom cloud in the background, in Japan. It's obviously we're not breaking new ground here that Godzilla is like a metaphor, for nuclear war and things like that, specifically, attacking Japan. This movie is, I'm going to say, it's my favorite Godzilla movie of all time. And part of the reason is because of the human element, the characters. I cared about them. A lot of these Godzilla movies, it's amazing special effects. It's like you said, monsters beating the crap out of each other, which is, don't get me wrong, I love that stuff too.
Yeah.
But I cared so much about these human characters. There's a scene in the movie where they announce on the radio something like Godzilla has been spotted heading towards Ginji City or something like that.
Yeah.
And me at the same time as the main character come to the realization of, oh my gosh, that's where Noriko works. I don't want anything to happen to Noriko. And I'm like sweating bullets because Godzilla is heading to where Noriko works. And it's that way the whole way out. You care about the characters. It's a $15 million movie. Godzilla looks incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. $50 million is nothing to sneeze at. But when you're talking about these mega movies, blockbusters that are $100, $200 million movies, and this movie looks this good for $15 million, those other movies are doing something wrong.
So,
they just are.
Absolutely. So it's made its money back on one day in the United States, making it the highest grossing Japanese film in one single day for a domestic intake. It's also the highest grossing foreign film of the year. It's also the highest grossing live action Japanese film to ever be released in America. It's also the highest grossing Toho film, and it beat Oppenheimer as the highest rated film of the year for a blockbuster. So that's
I gotcha.
What beat that. So
and
it's also the highest rated film in a franchise past 30, and it's also the highest grossing film in a franchise past 30. But I'm sure because it's the 33rd Godzilla film that Toho has done. So
well, I can't praise it enough.
On top of this, I was just notified by Apple Plus mere seconds ago that there's a new episode that just dropped of Monarch Legacy of Monsters on right now.
Godzilla is just dominating this world tonight, guys.
I'm telling you.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't. I really wanted to see it before we did the show, but I'll probably see it before we do the next one next December, and then we'll talk about it then, I suppose.
You'll talk about both Godzilla movies, right? That one and then Godzilla Kong.
Yeah, absolutely. But while we're marveling at that, there are other things for us to marvel at as well. Two of the people of this podcast did their homework.
I feel shame. I feel shame.
Good, rubbing your face in it.
Feel shame.
Marvel and Disney released the newest addition to the MCU. Nia DaCosta directed, starring Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Photon. It is the Marvels. Chad, what did you think about the Marvels?
Well, I feel like at our core, at least how we started, we were a Marvel MCU podcast.
Yeah.
And this is a major movie that came out. It's not like you have to watch 10 episodes.
No, a major film that came out.
And it's, I think, maybe the shortest MCU film. So it's not like it would take even that much time for Rob.
I don't watch anything under 3 hours.
Exactly. So clearly it's because it's female led.
I could watch
why
it
Rob
twice.
has not
I
watched
could
the
watch
movie.
it twice in a row. It'd have been 3 hours.
This movie was a lot of fun. I mean,
Oh, girl movies. You watch this movie, you get cooties.
Yeah, I had a great time watching this. I think the only person who had a better time was Samuel Jackson, because I feel like this is the most fun he's ever had at an MCU movie.
Absolutely, you could tell he was doing the most fun things. I love this movie. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You go ahead.
You're fine. Like he was just having a ball the entire time. I love Amon Vellani. Like she's great in this, as you would expect. The main characters, I like the premise and the notion of when they use their powers, they switch places, and how they train together to utilize that to their benefit. I thought that was a great idea. And it's just, there's some fun and goofy stuff in this. Rob, they go to a planet that the only way they communicate is through song. So
what you go to there?
So they just sing, and if you talk to them, they have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
You actually have to sing for them to understand the words that you're saying. But it's just fun. And even though it is definitely earth shattering as far as the stakes, the earth could die. It's not in a depressing way. It's fun. And I just feel like it was it's so disappointing that it didn't do better, because it deserved better for the cats scene with the cat song alone.
The abso-fucking-lutely. That is I sort of compare it to in The Flash, when in the Flash film, there's the scene where he's putting babies in microwaves, and I'm sitting there going, are they really gonna do this? And I was sort of like disturbed by it, but I had a similar, are they really gonna do this moment when the cat thing happens? But I was excited about it. This one, like, I was fucking cheering it on. Look, this is definitely my favorite Marvel movie of the year, but hands down. I had more fun in this than I did Guardians. I had more fun in this than I did Ant-Man and the Wasp. I just loved it. Like, I thought Nia DaCosta handled the action so well. I thought the moments of emotion that Brie Larson's character and Tiana Paris's character deal with, they're not heavy-handed. They feel subtle. Like, and again, Nick Fury interacting with Amon Vellani's family. Give me a fucking 9-episode series of that any day. That was phenomenal. Like, I think the villain is fine. She's not the most memorable villain, but I like her reason for being upset. I like the fact that we get Photon's actual comic suit. We get Supreme Intelligence actually comic accurate and stuff like that. But even beyond that, it was just, every moment of it was fun. It was just entertaining. It felt like a comic book. And
I was going to say real fast, I almost fell out of my seat laughing when the scene where Amon Vellani's falling from the sky, and then at the last split second, like, they use their powers and it changes to Captain Marvel. And Nick Fury's just like, oh, it's cool. It's just Carol. Like, it lands with this huge crater, and Sam Jackson's like, oh, it's cool. It's just Carol.
Or when Tiana's like, how do I get her? Black girl magic. Like, that's the best quote. Like, and I just love their interaction. You could tell they were having fun, and like, it just permeated from the minute they started. Miss Marvel's little animation thing, I was smiling the entire film. So, like, it's such a shame, but it's still, like, the shame of it doing poorly. It's still the highest grossing film of a blockbuster series, of a major franchise directed by a Black woman, in history. So that's awesome. Like, that's fantastic. It's still accomplishing things. It's still doing better than everybody else, like other than Godzilla.
And also,
what is it? The high grossing? You said it's the highest grossing. That was a lot. It was the highest grossing.
I'm mixing up my words.
It's a female black director. I'm pretty sure it's the highest grossing female black director debut of all time.
Okay, gotcha.
Opening weekend, something
that
like
was just
that.
a whole lot of stuff. I was like, well, I'm crossing my highest.
But there is something that Rob did see that we need to talk about, and he watched the post-credit scenes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Marvels. So
how many were there? I only saw one.
Post-credit scene.
I saw a post-credit scene.
Oh, I guess there's only one. There's only one post-credit scene because the other scene is credits.
One clearly was a post-credit scene that was not in the. It wasn't in the mid-credits, but it could have. You know what I mean? Like that's where it could have been.
I saw one with Photon sees her mom in the alternate universe with
okay. Yeah. With Beast.
Kelsey Grammer with Beast. Yeah.
Who looked so good. He looked so 90s comic. Like, it was perfect.
Well, I guess this is Kush for Kelsey Grammer. Who's I talking about this with? Because in the X-Men movies, it was practical makeup, and here it was digital. So it's a voiceover gig for him. Fuck.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And he nails it. Like, I enjoyed seeing him. That makes him our first X-Men actually in the MCU. Well, no, Professor X. We got him. Yeah. I'm fine. Just give them to me that way. Like, pepper them in through all the movies. That's cool.
Yeah.
To me, I dug that. I dug seeing Lashana Lynch as Binary.
He's so good.
So good. But to me, that scene that should have been the mid-credit scene beforehand, that stole the show. Like, Iman Vellani. Do you know what happens, Rob?
I don't.
Yeah, we talked about it. Where she's Nick Fury, and it's like the end of Iron Man.
That's right. I know. She went to see the other Young Avengers. That's right.
And so she says it word for word what he says, but she can't stop giggling the entire time. So it's awesome. Just.
And then she ends it with like, please, or like, like it's so funny. Like, it's so funny. It's so clever.
So who does she go to see?
Perfect for her character.
She goes to see Hawkeye Girl.
Yeah.
Who else?
That's all she goes. She goes because it's just like it's like Hawkeye's Iron Man, and Iman Vellani is Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man.
But she does say, "Did you know that Ant-Man had a kid?"
Yeah, she does mention Cassie.
Does she say that?
Yeah,
that's
cool. Yeah. So it's just super fun. Like, I loved every minute of this movie. I can't wait to own 7 copies on Blu-ray because Rob's going to steal like 5. So I'm super excited.
I like to sell them on eBay to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, and just never watch them. We're all disappointed in you.
Exactly.
So
he would do a video of him burning it. Like, that's what it is. He's like, thanks for this DVD, Keith. I'm going to go burn it now for my new YouTube channel.
This is for you, Brie Larson. Fucking.
I'm going to burn Keith's DVDs in effigy.
Why do you have matches? This is
burn
terrifying.
your DVDs, Keith.
Your facial hair is far too long for you to be doing this.
But to sacrifice myself.
Plus, also, when you already look like Ted Kaczynski, you should not be lighting matches.
Yeah, I really do look like that.
But speaking of explosive things coming, let's go ahead and look at some movie trailers.
Coming soon.
So that awesome trailer music leads us to a movie that looks fucking phenomenal. I think we're all going to agree how good it looks. We are, of course, talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The origin story of renegade warrior Furiosa before she teamed up with Mad Max and Fury Road, directed by George Miller, written by George Miller and Nick Lathoris, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Burke, Nathan Jones, Angus Sampson, Daniel Weber, Goran D. Clout, Lacey Hume, Malika Gazbari, Matuse, Robert McFarlane, Aaliyah Brown, David Collins, CJ Bloomfield, Rahel Roham, Florence Mazzara, Ian Roberts, and Alex Time. Chad, are you excited to go back to the wasteland via Fury Road?
I'm pumped about this movie. I loved the Fury Road Mad Max, and this looks like more of the same. It looks incredible. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Like, again, it does look like Fury Road, but I loved Fury Road. Fury Road looked incredible. So, Anya Taylor-Joy, she is always doing something different. She is not just the same type of role. So I'm really looking forward to see how, she's going to play Furiosa in this. But it looks awesome. Chris Hemsworth, with the prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm all about it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Same here. Rob, are you here for it too?
I'm going to do my my evil version of Chad. I'm not pumped at all to go see Furiosa. I hated the first movie, and I'm just as unexcited about going back for the second one.
You nailed it, Rob.
Folks, I'm the one guy
Yep.
who hated that fucking movie. I literally walked out, not soon enough in that fucking movie. That first movie, which the whole storyline was, let's get the hell out of there and go over there. Oh, no, we're here. Let's get the hell out of here and go back, and then pump the music up as loud as it can. I hated it, and I left about 2/3 of the way in. I finished it off on streaming, regretfully. I don't like it at all. This, and again, more and back to my Chad impression. And this looks like more of the same.
It sounded more like Jerry Seinfeld than it did Chad.
What's the deal with these?
What's the deal with these Crow Boys? Why is Max so bad?
Fury Road movies.
It's not quite country enough, Rob. You gotta give some twang.
Country, though.
I can't do that, but I appreciate it.
You gotta eat some green beans just to be able to get to that.
Dude, I literally the one caveat is Anya Taylor-Joy is one of my favorite actors on the planet. I love watching her. I mean, so look, am I going to see the movie? Yeah, I'll go in theater. I'll try not to leave, but I really hated that first movie.
I will try not
Did it get 10 Academy Award nominations? Somehow it stumbled up to 10
Stumbled?
Even a blind squirrel can find 10 Academy Award nominations.
First of all, if it got to Academy Awards, it got there really fast. It did not stumble.
Look, I'm not delusional. I look at the man in the mirror and I go, it's got to be you, because everybody else loved it. But yeah, I fucking hated that movie and no fake nose on Chris Hemsworth is worth going back in there. Sorry, it ain't happening. But I'll be happy to sit here and listen to you guys rave about it. That's what I'll do.
Well, that's been our segment called Old Man Yells at Sky.
Get off my lawn, you shitty movie.
Look, I can't wait. George Miller is a fucking genius in everything he does. He's like 947 years old, so I think he needs to stop making these movies just because he's going to break something. But I'm here for it until he does. I love that 3,000 Years of Longing. That was great. I love all the Mad Max movies. I can't wait to see what happens in this one. I wonder, how much tie-in is going to happen. I wonder if we are going to see Max or if it is going to be sort of isolated to just this story. Yeah, I'm pumped to watch it. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic. I think Chris Hemsworth has a lot more range than people give him credit for. I think Rob's just wrong about a lot of stuff. Let me repeat that. Rob's just wrong about a lot of stuff. Now, I'll use that echo to segue into the next thing we're going to talk about. A new series on Disney Plus, premiering later this year. It is Echo. You sound more like a parrot than an actual echo.
I'm not good at this.
Maya Lopez must face her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace the meaning of family and community.
I gotta interrupt you, Keith. That's the truest thing Rob has ever said in his entire life. I'm not good at this.
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna be highlighted.
They're way miscast in this role. That's not good.
So Maya Lopez must face her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace the meaning of family and community if she ever hopes to move forward. Starring Alakwa Cox, Zan McLaren, Vincent motherfucking D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox, Devery Jacobs, Danny McCallum, Alexis Capozzi, Isabella Madrigal, Christopher Koch, Leon S. Lamar III, Graham Greene, Tantu Cardinal, Chasky Spencer, Cody Lightning, and Ryan Austin Bryant. Of course, we are talking about Echo, which I think all premieres on the same day, right? Is that
drops drops same day.
Oh, so excited. January 10th. So it's going to be next year. Can't wait. Chad, what'd you think about this trailer for Echo?
I like the trailer. The trailer looked good, but I can wait in the sense that, like, why is Disney dropping them all at once? Is it because they don't think it's very good? And
Possibly.
they're just getting it out there?
I think
With-
they're testing out new things, like because with What If they're doing one a day up until Christmas, right?
Yes. To me, I'm not as worried about What If because, again, What If is an alternate story. It's not affecting anything. It's a cartoon, so it's not going to be watched, by as many people. This, could segue into Daredevil. Like you said, Kingpin is in it. It's going to be interesting, but I also feel like it might be like one of those at the end of the day that if we didn't watch it, would we really miss anything necessarily? And it
And
could
maybe,
be a
not to interrupt,
skippable
maybe that's
show.
how it feels. I'm sure they watched it individually and they tested it individually, and then they tested it sort of as a whole. And maybe just 6 hours, back to back to back, staying into it, staying with it, between the ends, it just plays better. Maybe it just didn't stick with you. Maybe the cliffhangers weren't as good with a week in between them. I mean, I'm just trying to guess why they would do it. The trailer, I thought the trailer was awesome. It was so, again, yes, they used a lot of the text, a lot of the fonts, a lot of the coloring from the Netflix series, and it was very reminiscent of the Netflix series and the best of. It felt like that. It was dark, it was edgy, it was not funny at all. It was disturbing, and they leaned into some things I wasn't sure. The bloody hands, the blood on the suit, the violence, the Kingpin violence. It was a nice throwback. And again, not throwback that long, a throwback to 2016, 17, whenever Daredevil was. I'm excited about this shit. It'll have to be terrible for me to go, this is terrible. But
That's how it usually works.
Yeah. But also, judging from your record,
ratio, it's got to be terrible. But I mean, I already dig it. I mean, it's going to have to really be fucking awful for me not to like this.
well, I think it's so interesting because this trailer dropped amidst all of the speculation that Marvel was in trouble. Like all of these rumors came out that they had canceled Wonder Man. All of this stuff happens. Wonder Man's gone back to shooting already, and also it feels as if this was Kevin Feige's of like, oh, we're in trouble. Here's my huge creative dick on the table for you to look at. You know what I mean? That it really felt like a punch.
I don't know what you mean.
That's that's how you. So some of us have impressive pieces that we could show people when they're questioning us. This feels like it was Kevin Feige saying, "Look how impressive this is," because it is.
Oh,
You would know nothing about that, Rob.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I feel, this trailer kicked my ass. It was so good. I can't tell you how many times I watched it because it was just so phenomenal. And also Vincent D'Onofrio's in it, Daredevil's in it, all of that. It looks amazing. And I wonder, is it just experimenting with the release style? Is it trying to make Marvel not feel as homogenized as people criticize it for? Is there an aspect of the immersion into Native American language and culture or ASL that they're afraid won't retain people, so they're dumping it all so you have a better understanding of it? Who knows? Or is it an idea because they're emulating Netflix with the series, do it like they did? Who knows? I just know I can't wait to see this.
This is what I feel like is going to happen with me. I'm going to watch the whole series no matter what. That because again, this is a Marvel podcast to a degree, so I'm going to watch it no matter what. But I feel like it could be a situation where instead of probably like you guys, where you might knock it out in the first couple days, it might take me a whole month to like get around to actually finishing it. I'm sure I'll watch the first episode when they all drop, and then I'll be like, okay, well, I'll come back to the second one later, and it might be like
You're
a week
someone
later
committed to this.
before I revisit it. That's what's going to happen. I feel like
This is a day one for me. The entire thing. I can't wait. This is exactly what I want. Seeing those characters team up, God, dreams come true. But
What
speaking
day
of
is this on? What day is this?
January 10th,
What day does that fall on?
January 10th.
Day of the week. What day of the week?
I don't. What am I fucking calendar? What the
What day of the
fuck?
week? My arms don't
My-
work right.
My
arms are
calendar man over here,
arms
Batman.
are
What the
folded.
fuck do
My arms
you
are
want
folded.
It's a Wednesday, Rob. Are
Okay.
you booked on Wednesdays?
Wednesday morning, I'm going to Costco. I'm getting 3 large pepperoni pizzas, bringing them home. Okay, sticking them in the oven, and I'm going to have like 2 large bottle, a large bottle of ginger ale, maybe a large bottle of A&W root beer,
Yeah.
Cola.
What's the next trailer, Keith?
I was kind of waiting for that story to have nothing to do with
And
Echo.
I'm going to burn the shit out of those pizzas, and I'm going to eat pizza and watch me some Echo.
Yeah, I was just waiting, but Rob's gonna fuck it up and watch Earth to Echo instead, like that little robot
Exactly.
movie.
I thought he was going to say, I'll start Daredevil season 1 on Disney Plus because that'll be the good series.
Or he's gonna be like, I'll finish Invincible episode 2, season 1. Or just say, I'm gonna
watch
make
Murder She Wrote from the beginning, and then
Murder,
I'll
She
get
Wrote
to
is
Echo.
fucking amazing. Don't you talk shit about Angela Lansbury. She
First,
is
I'm going to watch Bed Knobs and Broomsticks because I love Angela Lansbury. She's awesome.
Classic.
She is a titan in this world. And speaking of titans, that brings us to our last trailer of the evening, truly proving the dominance of Gojira. We are talking about the newest film installment in the Monsterverse. This is Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, directed by Adam Wingard, written by Terry Rossio, Simon Barrett, and Jeremy Slater. It stars Rebecca Hall, Dan Stevens,
Ooh.
Rachel House, Brian Tyree Henry, Alex Ferns, Kaylee Hoddle, Mercy Cornwall, Fala Chen, Judy Campbell, Jordy Campbell, Nicola Crisa, Cassie Riley, Alex Time, Stephanie Puglioni, Angie Adler Coops, Yeye Zhao, Olivia Simonovic, Jacob Hawa, and Drew Matthews, and of course, Godzilla and King motherfucking Kong. Chad, what did you think about this amazing Avengers level trailer?
Yeah, I like Adam Wingard as far as the director and Simon Barrett as far as the writer. I'm a fan of those guys when they work together.
Yep.
This looks good to me. Again, I'm coming off the high of Godzilla Minus One. This looks good. I like a lot of the cast in this. And I love the idea of Godzilla and Kong teaming up. I always like that, enemies teaming up to fight a greater threat. That's one of my jams. But I'm going to tell you, there's a shot in this trailer, and it's the shot I'm sure everybody's like talking about that they've seen, where Kong and Godzilla are running together.
It's so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah,
It's hysterical.
it's supposed to be like, holy shit, these two amazing, they're teaming up. Godzilla looks so ridiculous running
Amazing.
in
He
that
looks
shot.
like a guy. He looks like if The Rock was running.
It's
hysterical. Yeah.
It's Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa on the beach running
Yeah.
side by side
Yeah.
is what the fuck it is. The fact that King Kong is wearing the Infinity Gauntlet while he does it, and like Godzilla's going all high Barbie with his pink thing, like that's fucking awesome to me. I love it.
I just did not like that shot of them running.
Loved it.
And like I've seen people like on Twitter or whatever, like saying, "Oh, you think Godzilla is supposed to be serious all the time?" Well, look at this, and it's the shot of him like on his tail flying backwards. Keith, you know what I'm talking about? Guess what? I didn't like that shot either. So yeah, I don't
love
like
both of them.
goofy Godzilla.
The moment before Godzilla went, he's over here. It's like, oh, and then that's what it looks like. I was like,
I just want to see the scene before where Godzilla's stretching and he's like, this motherfucker. Because that's the thing I love about the legendary Godzilla is he always looks like his inner monologue is this motherfucker. And he's about to throw claws, I guess, So I'm here for it. Rob, what did you think about this trailer?
it looks like it looks like a whole lot of stuff. I don't know. How long is this movie? What's the runtime of this movie? Has anybody said, is it 2.5? It's got to be 2.5 hours.
I think it's gonna be 90 minutes. I think it's gonna be tight.
There's so much going
Oh my
on.
God.
There's the upper world, the lower world. They mix. It wasn't Mega Godzilla. It was like Mega Kong, right? It was like a metal Kong thing. Was that what it was? I can't even tell what was in that. What was the big bad? What was the big bad in that? It was like a metal.
I didn't think it was metal. I just thought it was
it's he's
different
called the
type of-
Scar King. He's just a big
Yeah.
monkey.
Oh, I saw it on my phone. He looked like
but also a tiny monkey too.
Yeah, it's Son of Kong.
He looked big on my phone. I can't tell the difference. But yeah, I mean, it looked fun. It's a Godzilla movie. But that last shot was like, just like, okay, that's what this is going to be. Come on, let's go. So look, the Godzilla in -1, I've heard, and just from the trail, but I've heard people say he's just angry and fucking mean, and there is no apologetic. He's not defending anybody. He looks there to kill.
He's not the hero for sure. You know,
so
but a different continuity. Like, so that's
Yes.
the Japanese. This is
because Godzilla -1 is set during like right after World War II is over.
Gotcha. It looks fun. It's a Godzilla. I'll be there. I'll watch it. It's fine.
Yeah, I can't wait. Look, I big fan of the King Kong franchise, big fan of the Godzilla franchise. And it's like one of those things will constantly reinvents itself. Like, we do have the room for Godzilla to have Manila, the kid. There's one continuity where Godzilla is actually comprised of all of the souls of soldiers who died in World War II. That's a fucking thing. And then we get this. We get the Saturday morning cartoons badassery of Godzilla and King Kong doing a workout together, like didn't creatine protein from the skull of a fucking monkey. I'm here for that. That looks awesome to me.
Do it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm here for it. The entire movie. They make as many of these as they fucking want to. I'm gonna watch them all. So speaking of watching all the things, let's talk about somebody whose work we all watched. Unfortunately, the past few days has seen the passing of Norman Lear.
Yeah,
Arguably one of the legends, probably the biggest legend of television producing and production and writing history. His impact, even though he wasn't as active in my childhood years or Chad's, more active in Rob's, the things he produced have such a long shadow on the way we consume television and entertainment. His impact is felt with the new shows being produced today. He redefined the way we tell stories, and his loss is going to be felt for a long, long time. An icon has fallen. You guys have anything you want to say about him?
Ahead of his time.
Exactly. Yeah.
He
Go
was
ahead,
edgy
Rob.
before there was edgy. I mean, All in the Family. I mean, it broke ground. It opened up conversations, led into the Jefferson. I mean, the Jeffersons. I mean, it's just he broke ground. He was a brilliant writer and a brilliant storyteller and lived a hell of a life. He was 101. I mean, that's fuck, man. He did everything right. Holy shit.
It's just amazing what, honestly, he was so good because of what they actually let him get away with.
Yeah.
You have to be that good for them to make those types of shows.
Yeah.
So
Agreed completely. Will be missed, and our thoughts to his loved ones and his family. But yeah, that's it for us.
Well, I do want to mention, I think we'd be remiss too if we don't mention there's a little before your time, Keith, but Matthew Perry passed away as well.
Oh shit. Yeah. Wow.
So Friends, arguably one of the greatest shows of all time. Certainly the number one show while it was on the air.
Absolutely.
And those 6 actors will be linked forever.
Yeah.
And one of them is gone now. And when I went to LA this past summer, I think it was actually during the writer's strike, but we went and we saw like some locations where they shot Friends and things like that. I mean, Friends is a big time show for me. So yeah, it's super sad that, Matthew Perry's gone as well.
Talk about impeccable timing in his delivery and his comedy. 3 to Tango is honestly one of my favorite movies of all time. I love the whole 9 yards, love the whole 10 yards. I wasn't a Friends fan, but I loved other work and I respected what he did on that show. Yeah, absolutely tragic loss. And then just the things he's done for people suffering from addiction in the years after, and his struggle and being so open about that stuff. It's amazing how many ways you can impact someone's life, and he ticks a lot of those boxes.
Yeah, he was multi-talented, and before he was an actor, he was a world-ranked tennis player up in Canada. I mean, he was no bullshit. He's an interesting guy. And you look at that cast, and I think they were all great, but he's the one guy that if we thought about who else could play those parts, he'd be the hardest one for me to find a replacement, just because of the uniqueness of his timing and his cadence and who he was. So yeah, very special, very, very, very unique. His own voice.
And that voice, so many different shows try to emulate that, in the wake of the success that he had. I know even as a writer, I try to find characters that have that Chandler Bing voice, because it is such a interesting, naturally entertaining voice to have. So, our thoughts with his family and friends as well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that wraps it up for us for tonight. Chad, where can the people find you?
Instagram, Twitter, X, NQC Podcast.
Awesome. And Rob, where can the people find you?
Instagram, Facebook. I'll be at the Artisan Resource Center, Suite A1 in Marietta. If you want to come by and say hello. Hi, y'all. Be doing my Leslie Jordan one-man show.
Great bookend.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like the fact that you told people they can find you on Instagram and Twitter, but you didn't tell them where on Instagram and Twitter.
If you want me bad enough, you can find me on there.
Yeah,
if I'm important enough to you, you'll find me.
Yeah, and if Rob's important enough to you, you probably need to find some more help.
You really need to get a hobby.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions.